I'm Gautam Mehta and this is Akash, my brother, and we're from an organization called Kids for a Better Future, which is a group of children activists based in Brooklyn, New York. We've come to do two things. One is to hand over this letter to the lawyers of Mr. Warren Anderson, the former CEO of Union Carbide, the company that's originally responsible for the Bhopal gas disaster. This man is actually a fugitive of Indian law. He's wanted in India for culpable homicide. And we've come to hand over the summons for his arrest. We weren't let into the building, even though we all walked up and asked to just hand this into his office's mailbox. And we weren't allowed to do that. We also came to, my brother Akash was going to read a statement on behalf of Kids for a Better Future to Mr. Anderson, asking him to realize what is right to do in this situation and realize that he has nothing to lose at this point, since he's no longer he's no longer part of Union Carbide, and it would be the best thing for everybody involved if he came out and said that he realized that that Dow Chemical, which is the company that bought Union Carbide, was responsible for not only the Bhopal gas disaster, but the continuing effects of it, which are 15 people dying every month because of the gas-related effects. Akash, will you read the statement that you read?
So this is a statement which I had originally planned to read out to Mr. Warren Anderson's lawyers, and yet the guards refused us. The guards refused for us to go inside the building. So I'm going to read it now. Last Monday, Union Carbide and 7 persons were held guilty for the Bhopal gas disaster by an Indian court. They were all given absurdly small sentences and have all paid only $2,000 in bail, escaping punishments relating to the deaths of 25,000 innocent Bhopalans. Warren Anderson, former CEO of Union Carbide, was charged for culpable homicide in the year of the disaster, but he ignored the court summons and instead was declared an absconder by the Indian government. The Indian Prime Minister refuses to act, so Bhopali activists are here instead. 25 years ago, Warren Anderson was CEO of Union Carbide when the terrible disaster occurred. Now, I don't want to depict Anderson as a despicable creature who killed thousands of people. In fact, I'd like everyone to remember the fact that despite all legal counsel, purely because of a feeling of moral obligation, Anderson went to Bhopal after the disaster to survey the scene firsthand. I don't doubt Mr. Anderson's claims to a guilty conscience. Any human being involved with the tragedy would feel terrible. Now, 25 years ago, Mr. Anderson escaped arrest and his day in court. I have no illusions that that day will come for Mr. Anderson, who is no longer the face of Bhopal's suffering anyway. But I would like today to appeal to Warren Anderson's conscience, his guilt and his grief, and ask him to stand beside me. If he is truly haunted by the disaster that happened on his watch, which destroyed an entire community, I ask him to come forward and make a moral statement about what the right thing is for Dow and Union Carbide to do. According to American law, the polluter must pay, and so Dow, the owner of Union Carbide, must pay to clean up its own mess. Every single employee and former employee of Dow Chemical and Union Carbide has such tremendous power to make a difference for the people of Bhopal, especially Mr. Warren Anderson. There is still plenty of work to be done in Bhopal. 15 people a month still die every month due to the long-term effects of the disaster. Generations have been born with birth defects. If you really feel that guilt, Mr. Anderson, don't just hide. Speak out, reflect publicly about your regrets, announce to the world your sympathy for and support of the Bhopalis, and demand that Union Carbide and Dow Chemical clean up Bhopal and adequately and fairly compensate all the victims' families. Mr. Warren Anderson, you have such power. Use it to make the world a better place. Come join hands with us in our struggle to clean the site where thousands of people still live today. Mr. Warren Anderson, today you are known only for your role in the disaster, your name is met only with hatred by hundreds of thousands of Bhopalis and people all over the world. The only way that you can change that, to clear your name, is to make a moral statement for justice in Bhopal. And then you can live the rest of your life in peace, with your head held high, knowing that you made a difference.
Okay,
Thank you.
What is the purpose in coming here with the summons today? What do you expect to achieve?
We would have liked to speak to his lawyers, read the statement to him, and we feel that it's important that he gets the summons.
But these summons are basically symbolic, right?
Yeah. Well, the summons were on behalf of the ICJB, the International Campaign for Justice, and this was purely Kids for a Better Future wanted to read the statement.
Yeah, what he said, yes.
And do you think you managed to achieve anything today?
Well, I hope that people watching this and listening to this will realize the terrible fate of Bhopal and the fact that that justice is still not being given to Bhopalis, even when they have declared Union Carbide and Warren Anderson responsible for the disaster.
And maybe, hopefully, Mr. Warren Anderson will see one of these videos of Akash reading his statement out and will be moved by it in the way that we hoped for. That's a possibility.
I'd like to make a few comments.
Sure.
We decided to attempt this delivery today only as a reminder, since we don't have any legal authority to actually serve a warrant, only as a reminder of the outstanding criminal charges against Union Carbide and Warren Anderson. As you know, there was a guilty verdict handed down last Monday in India against the Indian executives and plant managers, and that verdict omitted the American corporation and its CEO. The United States government in 2004, the U.S. Department of State, refused to act on the extradition warrant on the grounds that it would have a chilling effect on American foreign investment. That's a political decision. That's not that is not a decision in which justice is rendered. It's purely a political decision. And by attempting this delivery today, we're reminding the world that the Bhopal disaster isn't over, first of all because the criminal charges against the Americans are outstanding, and also because there's the issue of toxic groundwater contamination. While the Union Carbide facility was in operation until 1984, it was generating toxic waste on a daily basis, and that toxic waste was piped into the land around the Union Carbide facility. It sank into the groundwater, and people have been drinking that for decades. That remains a live lawsuit between Dow Chemical and the survivors in Bhopal, both in the courts here in New York and in India. This is also an opportune time to attempt this delivery because, as we speak, there's the ongoing British Petroleum Deep Horizon disaster. Is that it? What's the Deep Horizon disaster? Deepwater Horizon disaster ongoing in the Gulf of Mexico. And I have a feeling that at some point Americans will want to hold accountable the British corporate parent of British Petroleum, as well as its CEO. And any less than that will not be acceptable to the American people. The Bhopal survivors don't need to settle for less either. The American corporate parent and its CEO should at least stand trial for its responsibilities in Bhopal.
If the summons were actually served, what sort of legal validity would they have?
If by the children right now?
The summons, I mean, if the summons were actually served to these, to the
by
lawyers,
these children?
Even
by these children, no legal effect whatsoever. Only the U.S. government can act on it, and it refuses to do so.
So the UCC, even if it gets the summons, wouldn't have any responsibility to act on it?
Not until it's extradited. The government of India has no jurisdiction over Americans.
The fact that Dow Chemical still has interests in India, corporate interests in India, it operates in India, and it is the parent company of UCC. How can that be leveraged by the Indian government if it wants to act against, say, Warren Anderson?
The Indian government wants Dow to invest in India. So I think that the verdict was handed down at this time, and the sentence was light based on reduced charges because the government of India wants to attract Dow and every other possible foreign investor to India. And so to hand down this verdict, which was minimal, will not do harm to the potential for foreign investment in India. And as we speak, there's a bill pending in the Indian Parliament to limit the liability of nuclear export technology companies. If the Bhopal case had turned out worse for Union Carbide, then foreign exporters would not want to do business in India. So the outcome is, in a way, ideal for both India and foreign companies.
Can there be any action?
It's not ideal, though, for the people who've suffered for 25 years.
Is there anything that the U.S. government can do in this case in terms of UCC or Dow?
they can do a lot. They can act on an extradition warrant. Will they? I don't think so.
You know, what happened to make you such a strong supporter of the Bhopal gas case?
I became a cultural anthropologist, and I've been studying the survivors and their activism in Bhopal since 1995. So having seen from their point of view, from the ground, what the situation is, I've learned that the equities are clear, and I couldn't but support the survivors in Bhopal. They've done nothing to deserve what's happened to them, and there are more powerful entities than they who can do right by them, but who refuse to do so because of the profit line.
Just talk to us again about the decision to have this mock summons served today. What were you really hoping that it would achieve? Looking up.
Well, we hope maybe to actually deliver the paper inside the law firm, but knowing that might not happen, we're trying to keep the world's attention focused on this disaster because Gautama and Akash and I have seen people suffering. We've seen the many children with birth defects, a new generation being born with horrible birth defects, and the world isn't paying attention. There are plenty of other disasters going on, and we're hoping to draw attention to it. And I think attention is being paid right now in part because we have our own disaster going on in the United States, and there are distinct parallels between the two. And if Americans think they'll get justice in BP Horizon, they have something coming to them, because if BP is anything like Union Carbide, this will be fought for decades, just like Exxon did in Alaska.
But should this protest actually take place in front of the Union Carbide offices in the U.S.?
There are none anymore, because it's now owned by Dow Chemical, which is in Midland, Michigan.
But Union Carbide exists as an entity.
It's a wholly owned subsidiary of Dow Chemical.
But it exists as an entity, so it's going to have an office somewhere, right?
It doesn't.
It doesn't?
There's a Dow office in New York.
Like, look at me, sir. Right here. Can I see your banner, please?
We just wanted to talk or deliver a letter and a statement to the lawyers of Warren Anderson. They wouldn't let us go in. They refused to let us have any contact with those lawyers. When all we were doing is delivering a summons for justice. And I don't think that we legally had the power to drag him to India. What we do have the power to do is just go there and, one, remind him that he is a fugitive from Indian law, that he is running away from India because of this lawsuit, and two, ask him and all other Dow employees and former Dow employees that they have such tremendous power to make the world a better place for the people of Bhopal, and they should use it. For asking him to be symbolically arrested. Because, you know, the fact is Warren Anderson is right now 89 years old. His wife said that he still has nightmares about it, that he's haunted by it, that not a day goes by when he doesn't think about it. And it is to that conscience which I'm appealing to right now. And it is to that which I'm asking, you can make a difference. If you really feel guilty, then why won't you step out and make a statement about Dow and Union Carbide and support the people of Bhopal?
Were you disappointed that it didn't let you in? What did they tell you when you reached there? What did security tell you?
Well, I mean, we were there to contact the lawyers, but they said the lawyers weren't there. Now the fact is that it's a normal work day, so they probably were there. If they weren't there, it means that Dow Chemical has anticipated the fact that we're here for justice and ran away from it. Just like Warren Anderson runs away, Dow Chemical runs away.
The most important thing for us to do in the future is just to keep telling people, keep letting people know, keep spreading awareness. We're kids, we're not a legal authority. That's all that we can do, and that's the most powerful way to help the people of Bhopal. KidsForABetterFuture.org.